The Division is an action RPG developed by Massive Entertainment and published by Ubisoft, released on March 8, 2016. The Division went through classic Ubisoft game cycle, starting off with generally positive reviews that complained about weak endgame and technical problems. It slowly managed to improve itself by adding new activities into Dark Zone, new locations, incursions, high-value targets, daily missions, and a lot more. With Division 2 just around the corner, a lot of new players are coming into its predecessor, thanks to free weekends and massive sales. So I thought it was perfect time to check out if The Division is worth your time now, especially if you're new to it or play it solo. I will be splitting this video into a few parts, starting off with quick recommendation and overview of the game, and continuing with deeper dive into gameplay, single-player activities and missions, and finish off with multiplayer and Dark Zone. So let's begin. The Division, although often represented as a multiplayer co-op game, can be played solo, and it is still a lot of fun. Its surprisingly big single-player campaign, along with tons of side quests and activities, can keep a loner occupied for at least 30 hours. Campaign tells a story of smallpox pandemic that erupted in New York City at Black Friday, thanks to its spread by banknotes. With city falling apart, government awakens special sleeper agents known as the Division, who then help JTF restore order in the city, with you being one of the Division agents. Main story campaign will take you around 20 hours to complete, and you are free to do it by yourself, but if you want, you can try matchmaking with strangers and complete story missions on higher difficulties for better rewards. Side quests, although not offering much in story department, are a nice way to level up, enjoy some PvE, and get some nice gear, and same can be said about encounters. Other than PvE Manhattan, where everything I mentioned takes place, the Division also features a free-for-all PvP area called the Dark Zone, where new and solo players are at a disadvantage. Game has a similar problem like For Honor, where after 2 years, only skilled veteran players remain, and those are not trying to make friends. In those few hours I spent in Dark Zone, I rarely met anyone who didn't shoot me on sight, with 4-player squads moving around zones and dominating them. Thankfully, there are no penalties for dying here, you only lose your separate Dark Zone inventory, and Dark Zone itself is a lot of fun, with strong enemies and good rewards for traversing it, but playing it as a new solo player can be frustrating. The Division offers a lot of different activities you can take on. Its gameplay, however, is not that engaging. Gameplay mechanics are solid and there are variations with different builds and weapons, but enemy AI and tactics are weak, so we are stuck shooting mindless drones for hours, which can get a bit tedious after a while. But I would still recommend it to any players that are interested. Its story, gameplay and amount of content is well worth its price of $30 on Uplay. Even if you play it alone or are new to it, The Division is a lot of fun and you don't even need to dive into its multiplayer. Now if you are still unsure, you can keep an eye out for any sales or free weekends that have been happening frequently with upcoming release of second installment. Now, let's take a deeper look into the game and see what it has to offer. The Division is a third-person cover-based shooter, kinda similar to Mass Effect or Gears of War. After engaging in combat, you need to look for nearest cover and plan your strategy. You can either try to take your enemies from safety of your cover, create a distraction and circle around them, hitting them in the back, or if you feel adventurous, try rushing them head on. Gunplay of Division is solid, there is significant difference between weapon categories, guns have recoil and various accuracy, making each weapon suitable for different situations. However, I was a bit disappointed with the amount of weapon classes. You only have assault rifle, LMG, sniper rifle, shotgun, submachine gun and pistol to choose from. Thankfully, each category has tons of great weapons and they do have different appearance and stats, like ammo capacity or RPM, so you can at least experiment in that way. When it comes to controls, I felt like they were a bit clunky in certain situations. When trying to change directions or make a quick maneuver, controls weren't as responsive as I hoped them to be. But when it comes to movement from cover to cover, everything worked fine, and same can be said about animations that were fluid and pleasant to look at. To help you in combat, there are multiple skills that you can use, split into 3 categories: medical, tech and security. At the beginning, you can only use one skill of your choice, but as you level up, you get access to one more slot, and you also unlock signature skills. These take a lot of time to charge, and give you big boosts in battle, so you need to use them wisely. Skills include things like turrets, ballistic shields, portable covers, or healing stations that can be very useful. Each skill also has a talent that you can assign to it, unlocked by leveling up your base of operation. Other than skills, you also have perks and talents. Perks are passive boosts that give you benefits all the time, like ability to carry more medkits or grenades. Talents, on the other hand, activate only if you meet the specific criteria. For example, critical save decreases incoming damage by 20% when you use a medkit at low health. After leveling up, you can use up to 4 talents. Perks and talents can be unlocked just like mods for skills. Now, even with all these weapons and skills, gameplay of Division can get a bit dull after a few hours. Like I mentioned before, AI is very stupid, they almost never try to surprise you, and all they do is stand behind cover, pop their head out from time to time, and wait for you to shoot them. Outside of story missions, you're always gonna be fighting in similar environments and situations, where you just duck behind cover and shoot, without much variety. There aren't many enemy types either, with 3 main factions that all have few enemy archetypes. Rushers with shotguns, snipers, tech guys that build turrets, flamethrower users, classic mobs, and bosses that have big health. Another thing I didn't like is how much of bullet sponges all enemies are. This game isn't really that much about your skill, but mainly about how much damage your weapon can do. Even if you manage to get behind your enemy's back or surprise them with good strategy, if you don't do enough damage, they will steamroll you without any problems, due to their tankiness. But overall, I did enjoy Division's gameplay. It is an enjoyable, mindless shooter where you can just turn your head off and shoot stuff. One more thing I would like to mention is crafting system. It allows you to create new weapons, armor pieces and attachments from blueprints you gain during missions. Personally, I didn't really use it that much, but it is an alternate way of getting new loot aside from vendors and combat. There are a lot of things to do in Division. First of all, we have before mentioned single-player campaign. It serves partly as a tutorial for understanding mechanics behind gameplay, but it also tells a simple but engaging story where you will uncover who and what is behind New York's pandemic and try to find a cure. It all starts with you establishing your base of operation in Manhattan. You're gonna be returning here regularly, either to watch some story cutscenes or to level it up. Base is split into 3 parts: medical, tech and security wing, and upgrading them unlocks new skills, perks and talents. Other than that, you can also unlock new vendors, crafting stations or supply cabinets. For upgrading, you need special credits that can be gained by completing main story missions and encounters. Story missions are done really well. They are usually centered around a special set piece, like school or embassy, and you need to complete various objectives. These include saving a hostage, finding a special item, or defending yourself from waves of enemies. They reward you with story progression, lots of upgrade credits, experience and loot. Before taking them on, however, you need to level yourself up, and that's when encounters and side missions come in. There are 3 types of encounters, each one for one wing, and they consist of helping JTF defend against raiders, scanning contaminated environments, or disrupting weapon deals with other variations in between. You are rewarded with upgrade credits for finishing them, so if you want to level up your base to maximum level, get ready to take them on. Side missions, on the other hand, consist of you defending supplies, defeating mini bosses, fixing communications in districts, or searching for missing persons. They give you experience, blueprints, and some new weapons and armors. Now, even though it may sound like there is a big difference between these missions, honestly, it's always the same thing. You arrive at location, shoot people, mash some buttons or find some keys, and you're done. They take from 5 to 10 minutes to complete, and only reason for doing them is to get your hand on new weapons, credits, or experience you need to take on main missions. Other than that, you can also explore Manhattan and look for collectibles that are scattered around and provide some additional background to characters and pandemic. One thing that Ubisoft always does well is create a beautiful and detailed playground, and Division is no exception. New York is really big and there is a lot to see and explore here, with map divided into districts based on levels. Once you complete main story and hit level 30, game turns into looting simulator, which is Division's version of endgame. Instead of level, you have score next to your gear and you try to increase it by completing new activities. First of all, you now have daily and weekly missions with simple objectives like kill 2 named bosses or craft 5 items that reward you with boxes full of loot. Once you complete every mission and encounter in certain district, you unlock search and destroy missions. These send you to different locations where you need to kill all the enemies and you gain intel for that. Once you gain enough intel, you can visit HVT officer in base of operation that will give you info about the high value target. Here you will encounter waves of enemies with stronger final boss at the end with awesome rewards for completion. However, you only have one try to finish them. Another thing introduced at level 30 are world tires. These basically serve as difficulty, and once you reach a certain gear score, you can move up a tire, up to world tire 5. By increasing your tire, you get better and more valuable loot from enemies, but they also increase in level and power. New currency, Phoenix credits, is also introduced, and it is gained by taking on these new activities. You can then use it at special gear vendor and buy new high-end weapons and armors. Another thing added in latest big update was Westside Pier. This new location is basically an endgame PvE zone, where you can take on some of the strongest AI enemies outside of Dark Zone and participate in missions and modes like Resistance. Here you will be facing waves of enemies, collect division tech, and open up new locations as you progress, with interesting equipment as a reward. In Pier itself, you can complete randomly generated assignments and alerts that will keep you occupied for a few hours at least. Personally, I really enjoyed the Division's endgame. It opened up a whole new layer to it, and I finally felt like I was making progress with my character, since at the beginning you level up your gear score without any problems and gain new weapons and armors constantly. However, after 25 hours of fighting same enemies with same strategies, I quickly grew tired of it, since new activities offer same kind of content like encounter and missions. But if you still enjoy Division after completing main story, then you're gonna love its endgame. It had a lot of improvements over the years, and there is always something to do and something to gain. Even though there are tons of things to do in multiplayer, a loner might not be able to enjoy all of them. Division went through a lot of improvements these past 2 years, but its player base is nowhere near as big as it used to be. Trying to find people for story missions, incursions or Westside Pier modes can be frustrating, and you will need to wait around 5 or 10 minutes to even find one partner. By adding so many new things into Division, Ubisoft has spread an already thin player base even more, and chances of someone playing same mission or activity as you at same time are low. Nevertheless, let's take a look at what Division has to offer in terms of multiplayer. You can of course complete any main story mission on higher difficulties in a group of 4 or less players. Other than that, you can try out incursions, which are Division's version of raids. These missions are extremely hard, you need a group to play them, and they offer some great rewards. With 1.8 update, you can also play Skirmish, a PvP mode where teams of 4 agents faced against each other in a classic deathmatch. Before mentioned Resistance can be played in a group as well. And finally, the infamous Dark Zone. This PvP part of New York is where best gear is located, if you have nerves to try it out. There aren't classic missions here, but you can face strong endgame AI enemies and named bosses in random encounters. Other than that, you can find landmarks, areas filled with raiders that reward you after clearing them out. Or you can explore underground contaminated areas, fight over supply drops, and look out for sealed boxes full of exotic equipment. Everything you pick up in Dark Zone is contaminated and needs to be extracted before you can use it. By calling an extraction, you basically let everyone in your vicinity know that you have something good on you, and there is a big chance other players will come and try to take it. Extractions are thrilling events where anyone might attack you at any moment, along with waves of AI enemies. By attacking other players, you become Rogue Agent with bounty on his head, with everyone else hunting you. If you die as a rogue, you lose a lot of Dark Zone experience, keys and boxes you had, so becoming rogue is not very profitable and game leads you to play it nice. But if I have to be honest, 2 years after Division's release, almost everyone I met was a rogue, shooting me down instantly, since most of people playing are veteran players and there aren't enough lawbringers to hunt them down, with everyone just shooting and looting each other. Playing Dark Zone solo was tough, and I had more fun in PvE, since in Dark Zone you can lose all your equipment you found and grind it for hours in mere seconds, and while that may be exciting to some people, I personally prefer safe zones of PvE Manhattan. On the other hand, it is a solid challenge, and if you think PvE is easy, just try out the Dark Zone for a few hours. Dark Zone also features its own level system with leaderboards, daily and weekly missions, so if you get sick of classic New York, it is a good place to check out. Just be prepared to catch a bullet in your back when you least expect it. In the end, The Division is a pretty good game. It features lengthy single-player campaign, various encounters and side missions to keep you occupied, engaging endgame with tons of weapons and armors to collect, and decent multiplayer that may not be as active as it used to be, but you can still have fun with it, and Dark Zone, full of exciting and sometimes frustrating moments that you will remember. Its gameplay has some flaws with stupid AI and bland recycled missions content, but it features interesting mechanics and solid gunplay. With constant care from Ubisoft, this game changed a lot during last 2 years, and I can only recommend it. It has enough content to keep you occupied for months, and with Division 2 coming out soon, I think it is right time to jump into this franchise and try it out for yourself. Huge shout out to Simon Anderson and other donators that supported me on this month's Patreon. Your support is very appreciated. For any of you that want to donate and support this channel as well, link for my Patreon is in the description. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like if you did, tell me what you think about it in the comments, subscribe for more Fallout and other games content, and I will see you next time.